Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Competition Archery Media.
My name is Hugo Lowe.
Hello, I'm Christina Percoli from San Marino.
Greetings, this is Jay Barsh from the 107 Club.
I'm Ryan. I'm with Anchor Point Archery in Goodyear, Arizona.
We are the Mini Barebow. This is for the Barebow Project. Go Barebow!
This is
the Barebow Project.
And this is the Barebow Project.
And this is the Barebow Project.
And you're watching the Barebow Project.
And you're watching the Barebow Project.
I'm Grayson Partlow, and this is the Barebow Project. I think that was an 8.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Barebow Project. I am honored to be joined by 4 amazing young barebow archers. And I guess quite frankly, one of the reasons I wanted to highlight this podcast is because there's been a trend amongst the young men. There's always been, we're going to give the ladies their flowers right now. There's always been a trend of young women competing at high levels in some regards in America anyways, I should say. And the ladies sort of set the tone to compete with the barebow senior women. But these 4 have all kind of come up together in some ways, respectively, from all over the world. We were just talking about a little bit, Hugo Lobb kind of started it as a young man, really making a splash in men's senior barebow. And then Leo Pedersen obviously followed it up with the same level of competitiveness. But now we have 4 more. And these 4 had an amazing Lancaster Archery Classic performance. Obviously, we're joined with Mr. Oliver Hicks, the 2026 Lancaster Archery Classic champion. The smile says it all. But we're also joined with Luke Thornsberry, who's American from Illinois, Judah Holmes from Australia, and Ludwig Roland coming at us from Denmark, right? Sweden.
Almost.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. My bad. I almost had
Famous Leo.
100% on that quiz. It's one of those things where you have these 4 are now competing against each other at arguably one of the best indoor tournaments in the world. Maybe not the best, but in America, it definitely is one of the best. So we're going to have a little bit of a roundtable discussion. But first we're going to let these guys introduce themselves, even though I kind of just did. We're going to kind of just go around like where they're from and make sure you guys drop your age as well. Okay. So as we go through, so we're going to get started. We're going to talk about who you are, where you're from, and tell us like what club or shop or whatever you shoot, like the primary place that you represent when you shoot back home. Cause we want to give them some attention as well. So, we'll start with, on my screen, Ludwig, we're going to start with you because you're on my top left. So give us the details, my young friend.
Okay, so I'm Ludwig. I come from a small town in Sweden called Färingtofta. I've been shooting for, I think, 6 years now. I'm turning 20 today.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. And shooting is going pretty well this season, I'd say.
Yeah. What club, or do you have a club or a shop or
Yeah.
whatever?
Right now I'm shooting for a club called Järnvägen. It's just right in the middle of Sweden. A good place to be if you want to compete a lot and practice a lot. So that's why I'm here.
Perfect. Do you have other barebow shooters in your club?
Definitely.
Okay, so it's definitely a popular it's a popular thing over there for sure.
We had before I came here, they had Leo as well.
Oh, okay.
So the barebows have kind of gathered here.
Gotcha. All right, perfect. Thank you, man. All right, Luke. Have at it. Give us the details, my friend.
Well, um, I'm 18 from Illinois, just outside of Chicago. I shoot out of Bodoc. That's I've gotten all my coaching and stuff from there,
Hmm.
but there's not a whole lot of shooting space actually in Bodoc. So there's another club. It's called Joliet Archery Club, and it's about like I don't know 5 minutes away from my house, and
Oh,
that's a
nice.
24/7 range. So I go and shoot there a fair amount. But yeah,
Okay. Are you a high school senior or did you
I
graduate?
I'm a high school senior.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
graduate this spring.
Gotcha. All right. Perfect. We're gonna go with Judah next.
Yeah, so I'm 18. I
Oh, we just
Oh,
lost Judah for a second. Did you guys lost him too?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if he just disconnected. Oh,
he's
there he's
back.
back. He's back now.
what just happened?
You're good, buddy. You're good.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So go ahead. Start
Um,
over.
yeah, yeah, I'm Judah Holmes. I'm 18. I live on an island called Tasmania. It's right down the bottom of Australia. It is a state of Australia, but it's separate from the mainland. Um, I've been shooting or competing for 2 years in Barebow. I shoot at a local club, Van Diemen Archers, and I am affiliated with Urban Archery, which is obviously the best archery shop in Australia. So, yeah. And I also, my coaching has come from Tom Clum Sr., who's an American level four NTS coach. So,
Gotcha. All right. Very good. Very good. And then our esteemed guest, Mr. Oliver Hicks. Give us the details, Oliver.
So I'm 19 from the UK. There's too many clubs that I shoot at the moment. So I shoot at University of Birmingham Archery Club, which
Okay.
is my primary one at the moment. I shoot men multiple times each week, and then I've also shoot at Lichfield Archers, which is they've got a 24/7 indoor range. So I shoot there when I can't get time at uni, and then there's Overton Black Arrows, which I use for my field practice for, which is my favourite one. Just um, it's just a open like bowl and it shoots some insane slopes. And then there's the club which I shoot at back home, which is Bowman of Warfield. So I've
Okay.
got quite a few. They all are really good.
Yeah, that's awesome that you have so many to choose from, though. I'm a little jealous myself, unfortunately, with like where we are. We don't have, first of all, we don't really have much for field that's offered. Everything is 3D. And then, you have indoor ranges, but it just like it's not, there's just not quite the variety, I should say. It's just as I might as well just drive to Lancaster and shoot there an hour and whatever, which is nice. I'm not complaining by any means. As you
Yeah,
guys all know, Lancaster's it's pretty awesome, but to shoot at their indoor range. As a matter of fact, this weekend our Lancaster's hosting the indoor nationals this weekend. John's prepping for that right now and shooting this weekend at Lancaster. So that should be interesting to see where those chips fall. So good stuff. Good stuff. I was perusing, we'll say some of the results from the classic, but let's just kind of go around the horn where um, where you qualified at. All right, that'll be the first question. Where you qualified at, and then obviously where you finished at the end, if you know. If not, I have it pulled up here. But so Ludwig, where did you qualify at, like score wise and placement wise?
I qualified fourth with a 567, I believe. And then I lost in the second match and became the highest ranked archer to lose in the second
Yeah,
match. So I got 17th in the
yeah,
end.
yeah. That's still excellent shooting though. excellent shooting.
Yeah, I had a 118 in the first match, and then I lost to my friend and kind of Swedish rival Marcus Axelsson in the second match. So, and I
Mm.
shot good, so I'm happy with my performance. And then
Yeah.
I shot the Eastern Youth Tournament, which
Oh
I
yeah, we
won.
talked about that. Yeah, how did you end up with that? I see you got a
I
trophy behind
shot
you.
another 567.
Impressive. Impressive. That's a lot of arrows though, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was like running back from the line just to check the on the finals because they were shooting the
Yeah.
same time as I was shooting my like just uh, qualifying scores or yeah
Yeah, sure.
the youth tournament.
Yeah.
All the Judah Holmes and Oliver Higgs were up on the big stage, so I was just running back and forward between ends,
Yeah.
looking
That's
at
awesome.
the stream.
Not only are you a fan, or not only you're a shooter, but you're a fan because it's hard to not want to see that. It was definitely impressive for sure. Luke, where did you end up with qualifying?
Um, I believe after qualifying, I was fifth with a 565.
64, according to Lancaster.
That's
Wow.
probably right. I probably
Yeah,
just forgot.
64. That's all right though. Yeah.
Um, and then after eliminations, I know I lost in the third round. I don't know where I ended up after that, I believe.
Let me see if I have it here. Looks like you ended up at 12th
12th.
total. Yeah, 12th, which is still extremely respectable. It's very good. Yeah, great shooting for sure. Okay, good. Is that higher than what you finished last year?
Uh, sig I know I dropped after the second round last year and qualified about in the middle of the cut last year. So it definitely was higher. I don't know how much higher necessarily, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot better.
You remember what your qualifying score was last year?
I think it was an even 540 if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Outstanding. All right. No, that's good. That's good stuff. Judah, where did you end up with qualifying, and how did your matches go?
Yeah, so I'm not really a qualifying shooter. I don't shoot my best in qualification. I shot a 554 and came 15th in qualification, so I was happy with that. You know, as long as I was in the top 20, that was cool. And yeah, I shot really strong in all my matches. It wasn't an easy lineup. Um, Being 15th, you're kind of going against people who had similar scores to you in qualification. But I shot strong, really strong qualification, sorry, in eliminations. Just good mental control. Shots was going nice. I shot a 113, 111, 115 to come in seventh position onto the stage.
Very good. Yeah, you definitely seem to get stronger and stronger from qualifications to the matches all the way to the end. I think the
Yeah.
one thing that you guys probably have all found out that we always talk about the head-to-head matches as sort of a little bit of a crapshoot because you don't know who you're going to come up against, and you don't know. It takes one person that shot any score, any qualifying score, could have an amazing four ends. And if you happen to come up against that person, they can just knock you out immediately, or you can shoot the best head-to-head ends of the entire tournament, and that person can just edge you out by a little tiny bit. Like I think Luke, you said you shot like a one, or was it Luke or Ludwig? You said you shot like a
I shot
118.
a 118.
Yeah, like I mean, and you just never know what's gonna happen. So,
In the
uh,
same round, Eric shot a 121. So if I would have went up against him, I would have been out with a 118.
yeah, crazy. Which is wild when you think about it. Like, but that's the state of Barebow right now. I mean, there's just some incredible talent, and you guys are competing against, um, the likes of Eric Johnson, who is just an absolute shoots like unconsciously good. So he doesn't even know, I swear he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just putting arrows in the middle every time, and that's it. That's it just happens automatically. But anyways, moving on. So Ollie, we know what the end result was, obviously. But let's talk about your qualifications and how you felt like your matches were going and stuff like that.
So I finished my qualification in 11th with 5:58. After the first half of qualification, I checked the results and I was like 20th in my set, like overall.
Yeah.
And I managed to pull it back in the second half to bring myself back up to 11th, and then sort of kept it at, I think it was like 112 dozen sort of the rest of the tournament mostly. I ended up against Luke in my third match, and like you were saying earlier, it's tiny margins. Like
Yeah.
it's a bit. I don't know any other tournament which does this, but at the Upper Classic, they do it on 11s if you tie score, which it doesn't quite seem right when you're
Yep.
like you have the same score, but I shot, I think it was 2 11s, and I think Luke shot one, and everywhere else should have a shoot off, but I had shot one more, so I then ended up going through. So it didn't quite feel right.
So in America, that's what they do for ties across the board. Like USA Archery is tens and nines, as opposed to because they don't count X's in USA Archery.
Yeah,
They just count tens and nines. So like if, for example, years ago, Grayson, Bartlow, and John tied for first place for indoor nationals. And I think Grayson won by like one or two tens because he had more tens than John did.
yeah,
So it's the same concept of, and I think it also saves a little bit of time
yeah,
from that regard. But like because it's the hustle and bustle of Saturday, like Saturday the head to heads, like it's quick and it's fast and it's like, it's just so hasty and energetic that they have to be able to just move on to that next match, move on to
yeah.
the next match, you know what I mean? So, um, I will say I too have lost a head-to-head match on X's before years ago when I shot Olympic recurve. So I feel your pain, Luke. Um, um, but I think it's just the format that they use, and I
Yeah,
think that's what makes it, the unique experience that it is. So it's all
yeah.
good there, but
I think the um, first year that I was there, same thing happened to Joel in a match against Raymond, the
uh-huh.
last match before, and the like last match, and then Raymond went on to win it as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is what it is. Like we said, it's a little bit of the
yeah,
you just never know how the cards are gonna fall, and that's okay. I mean, um I think that's what just adds to the fun of the tournament. It's just it's wild sometimes to watch. But anyways, so I guess with that being said and um looking at the big picture of the tournament, like, and you guys can speak. This isn't going to go round table one each. You guys can speak as you feel. Like, what are some lessons that you learned from coming, yeah, especially for those of you that traveled across abroad? What are some lessons that you learned or things that you would like to share with other barebow archers that were like key components to your success, your good scores, things that you did either preparing for or the week of or during the tournament. There's always there's always things that we learn tournament to tournament. So, like, what are some words of wisdom that you might have for archers out there that are coming to the classic or going to a big tournament or something like that? Anybody?
I can start. One thing that I thought was really, really helpful to just keep track of my nerves was that I had a big tournament in France the weekend before Lancaster in Nîmes. So I got some like good practice in like shooting high qualifying scores and good qualifying scores. But then also getting to shoot a match with a lot of nerves just helped me prepare for like the matches in Lancaster.
Yeah.
So I think I was like just in the right mindset of what can I expect when I get into the matches. And then also I think a big thing that I've learned since Lancaster or because of Lancaster is just because I have the ability to train, maybe I shouldn't train all the time I have the ability to. Because I think
Interesting.
like the first day we got there, I probably shot twice as many arrows as I usually do in a like practice session.
Yeah.
And that might have affected me negatively in this, like just in the qualifying and just
Sure.
throwing me out of rhythm a bit.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's something to keep in mind.
you can't ignore fatigue, and you might not know that you're fatigued, but and it could be mental and it could be physical. I think the excitement of being at the classic makes you want to shoot though.
Yeah,
So in some regards, like, some people may thrive on that, and then some other people may who aren't used to it, or, like you can get a little absent-minded with your form or with just like where your mental space is and if you shoot a whole lot. So I think that's good advice though. I think people need to manage that, separately for sure. Anybody else?
I think I'm unable to get up that kind of pressure that Ludwig was talking about before tournaments here in Australia. Like, there's no tournament that can put that kind of pressure on me to
Right.
shoot well under pressure. Target nationals, which I won last year, but even there, like, pressure is as intense as Lancaster.
Right.
So I think that's super beneficial to be able to do some big tournaments where you've got some really tough competition and your score really does matter. Not saying that it doesn't matter in, target nationals or whatever, but the pressure just isn't as intense. And also I found something that was really helpful for me at Lancaster was having a support network on the line, behind the line that can keep you focused, keep you in the right headspace. So I'd say I have a pretty mentally robust game, but somebody that can just keep it light, like, joke around a little bit. I had Oliver Ockenholt on my target, and that was super good. Like, we were encouraging each other while the other person was shooting, good shot, keep it going, strong shot. If you shoot a bad shot, forget it, move on to the next one. And then, and people behind the line also, just encouragement. I think that was really helpful and beneficial for me to stay in the right mindset and not get down on those bad shots, and also use the good shots to keep a roll going. So I definitely found that was super helpful for me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. And that's got to be tough across the kind of across the globe or even just geographically here in America. Like, that idea of trying to produce that same pressure feeling is very difficult. And I think if I remember correctly, did you shoot some online stuff, Judah, like some live feeds and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
I
So
did a lot of
that helps,
it.
right?
It does to a degree. Like, the first couple you get a little bit of nerves going on, but after that, what I tried to do was build an immunity to it. And I was able to build an immunity to live feeds, but
Sure.
there is, the pressure is 10 times more increased at Lancaster than shooting against somebody that won Lancaster 2 years ago on a live feed. Like,
Right.
it's not comparable. I don't think there is anything you can do to fully prepare for it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if you do what you can, it's going to help you. And, you know, if you figure out what you need to do to be able to stay focused, stay in control, then you just got to hope it works on the day, on the
Yeah.
line at Lancaster.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And I think that also like your comments about Oliver, I think that's a testament to the community of Barebow, whether it's, you know, the top shooter or last year's winner, all the way down to the newest shooter that just showed up and shot their first tournament. I think it's a testament to our community because there's definitely an incredible amount of support across the board. We
Yeah.
just, you know, and I've said this before. I think we all appreciate the struggle so much that that's why we're like, hey man, we all know that this isn't easy. And so if today's your day to shine, then I'm going to support you all the way to the end of that. So that's good stuff. I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's it.
that. Yeah.
I mean,
That's awesome.
there's no animosity or, you know,
Mm-mm.
when you're standing on the line with your competitors, it's not like it's cold shoulder. I do my thing, you do your thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're open, 99% of the time, the person you're on the line with is going to be the same. And you know, you both want to see each other do well, and that pushes you to do better than you normally would. So, yeah, definitely super helpful and cool that, you know, the Barebow community is like that, because not many sports you have
No.
that kind of relationship and connection with your competitors.
Even in archery, some of the other disciplines aren't quite like that. I will say that. We all know
Yeah,
what we're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
How about you guys, Luke, Ollie? Anything you want to add?
Um, I know for me, and I'm still learning it every time I shoot, but my biggest thing is always just like the mental game of it. As far as like under pressure and nerves and stuff, I always actually find myself shooting a little better than I usually would, like outside of tournaments and like practice or whatever. Usually if I have a little nerves, it kind of helps push me a little bit. But what I always found that always gets me is realizing that I'm actually doing good. Um, so like at Lancaster, I know started shooting together quite a few good ends there, and then I realized I was doing good, and I threw a 6 out there. Which I will say, kind of as Judah was talking about, it's really nice to have a support group, especially some people that kind of understand what you need.
Right.
Like when I shoot, I really am not a big fan of like encouragement per se, of like you're doing good like that. I want someone to tell me that I have to do better, you know,
Yeah.
kind of push me a little bit. And one of my teammates from Bodoc was there with me, and he was just sitting there the whole time telling me to shoot better, and that really helped. And also, I had Ludwig and Judah standing behind me telling me I suck and give me crap for 6. So, you know, that definitely helped. So,
I love it. That's good. That's the comic relief is okay in archery, though. I've told Demmer he sucks many, many times. Um, well, I mean, it's all being facetious, but whatever, you know. Ollie, how about you? Some lessons that you learned, especially from last year to this year, that helped you get to the top of the podium.
Yeah, so I completely changed like my whole mindset and like approaching archery since my last classic. I didn't wasn't here last year. I was here the year before.
Year before, yeah, okay.
Um, I think sort of almost the best example of this is in the first year I was here. I was at the classic. I was shooting all right. I was shooting like a few 28. I think I had like 3 or 4 28s to start off the round, and then I put in a blow, and then it just fell off the cliff. So I was really struggling sort of mentally to like get out of that divot and then sort of get back up. Whereas this year, I started off strong. I think I was like 29, 30, and then I had a little dip. I was shooting a few 8s and stuff, but I didn't let it affect me. I was just, I'll shot that arrow, move on to the next, and just taking it arrow by arrow and just maintaining sort of the almost like level head.
Yeah.
And I found that really helped because previously when I've been shooting, it's almost like been feeling it sort of build up, and it's just like getting worse and worse, and not able to escape it. One of the things I found was just relaxing to sort of the music. If there's sort of no one else, like I was shooting next to Rene, who I had travelled over with and was good friends with.
Yeah.
So that helped as well, just being able to sort of chat to him in between ends and um, just chill out. But the most important thing is just like mentally staying positive the entire time. Like we're all archers, like we all want to be negative. Like I, I think we all know like loads of archers, which you just hear them talk negatively the entire time when they're on the line and around. And I just now know like when they're doing that, they're just hurting their scores. If they just like stayed a bit more positive, it would their scores would increase because it's such an important thing I found.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
totally
that's
agree.
good. Totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, we have like three younger barrel shooters at my club here,
Hmm.
uh, who have a really big problem with like their confidence. They're always like, especially one of them is shooting like really, really good. And like in competition, he's like, I'd say he's like the best U18 archer in Sweden currently.
Uh,
But he like shoots an 8 or a 7, and he's like, not again.
yeah.
Even though that's like the level that like he's on. He shoots like a couple of 8s every now and then, and like he has difficulty just accepting that there will be an 8 every once in a while, or a 7, or maybe even a 6. And that happens, especially in Barebow. And that's a big part that I've also worked on, like for the past year, just making sure that I'm focusing on the right things and just making sure I'm focusing on what I can
What you can control.
affect. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. One arrow at a time. It's
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
arrow
I
at a
think
time.
something that I found really helpful that I learned was my first three ends. I think I shot each end. I shot a little group high left. I had a 6, 2 7s, and an 8 or something like that, or maybe 3 7s. Um, and I realized how important it is to analyze what caused those and fix it. And I was able to do that within the first three ends. So, each after three shots, I realized, oh, it's this that caused those shots up there. I had two in the middle and then one up there. It's like, whoa. Um, and that for me was grip pressure. I wasn't pushing enough at the target. So yeah, it's just I think analysis, learning where your arrows go under that kind of pressure is super important. Whether that you can figure that out in smallish competitions. Shoot with a friend, put $20 on it.
Yeah.
Just to try and figure out what happens to you and your equipment under pressure, because some people it might take them 8 or 10 ends to figure out why they're shooting left. But the top shooters are able to analyze that and fix it really quickly, so it doesn't hurt their score too bad.
Yeah.
We always wish we could take back those shots. I had 3 or 4 shots, so I was like, oh, I wish I could have taken that back. I would have been in the 560s, but they're gone. That happens. You can't fix it. You just got to stay positive and move on to the next shot.
Yeah. That's great advice for sure. And I think it's there's probably there's some experience that comes along with that to have the knowledge that the archery IQ, or we'll call it barebow IQ, to be able to fix that thing and recognize, hey, like those were good shots. Why did that go there? And then to be able
Yeah.
to make an adjustment on the fly, so there's definitely an experience level that comes with that to be able to figure that out also. And new shooters, it's not speaking to shooters with your experience, but like newer shooters, need to not let that frustrate them early on because they will figure it out sooner or later. Having mentors and other people that they shoot with, there's definitely a positive to learning to shoot or compete by shooting with people who are as good, if not, or in best case scenario, better than you are, if possible, as much as possible. And that will help kind of build that barebow IQ as well. So, no, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff, actually. You guys are going to help a lot of people with this episode. Um, so I guess anything before we move on, because this is a good topic. Anything else you want to bring up, like, specifics or anything from that tournament or that you want to share? Just about the, lessons learned type of key component stuff.
I was going to say, sort of just having a solid process that you're confident in your shot is so important, particularly as you get up to the higher pressure stages. Like walking out onto the final stage, I was confident in my shot process, my equipment. I knew that if I did it right, the arrows would go in the middle. So that almost helped sort of alleviate the pressure somewhat a bit because you know it's it's not just luck that's going to get the arrows into the middle. It's going to be shooting controlled shots just the entire time and taking it shot by shot. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it does make
Yeah.
sense.
I
To
think
add on to that
the
as well,
confidence. You can start.
Go ahead,
I
Judah.
was going to say, just to add on to that, when I was obviously the first match on the stage, and I was fully confident going out there that I could beat Marcus Axelsson. Like, I was full of confidence. I was feeling good. I went out there, there's always nerves in that first few ends, and I felt them. I still shot reasonably well. I shot I think a 107, I'm pretty sure, first match, and I was feeling good. Towards the end of that, I was starting to get into a bit of a rhythm. But then Ollie walks out, and that I knew Ollie was going to be super hard to beat. Like, we both shoot a triggered process, which under pressure often holds up better than a triggerless process. And I knew it was going to be a tough match. So I lost a little bit of my confidence just knowing who my next competitor was. And, he came out, he opened up really strong. I had a couple shots that were just weak, and then I started trying too hard. And as soon as I started trying too hard, my physical shot started to fall apart a little bit because I wasn't focusing on the things I should have been focusing on. I was focusing too hard on trying to hit the middle. And then that hit my mental game. The physical degradation of the shot hit me mentally, and that kind of spiraled into a bit of like a free fall where I was trying to pull myself back out of it. And I think the last two shots that I shot at the 12, they were good shots. I was happy with them. I was happy to go out on a note that I knew those shots were the shots that I shoot. They were my shots. The rest of them, I was having issues, but I was able to come back, for those last two shots. Doesn't matter if I lost, I learned a bunch just from that one match about confidence levels and how next time I need to figure out a system of not letting either my mental game or my physical game affect the other. So I think definitely it's a massive thing about confidence and how to maintain your confidence and not trying too hard. Because for me, if I try too hard, I start thinking about the wrong things in my shot, and that never ends well.
Gotcha. Good. That's good stuff. Ludwig, you had some comments.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like the key is really like in that part of the mental game is really like just it's not you don't just need a good solid like shot process, you also need the confidence in it to trust it and like to know that if you follow it you're gonna win or you have the capability of winning. For example, when I went up against Oliver in the European Field Championships this autumn, I wasn't really confident that I like could win, or I knew it was going to be a really close match, and he had performed really well in qualifying. So I wasn't like fully confident that my shooting was gonna like be enough to beat him. And then when I went up on the final stage, I had more nerves than like I probably had 10 times more nerves than I had when I beat him at the World Championships, even though it was a European Championship. So just knowing that you have the capability of winning and being confident in your abilities helps so much with just controlling all the nerves.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of it for
Yeah.
Barebow archers, I think.
I think it's archers across the board. I don't think that's not
Yeah,
secluded to Barebow in any
probably.
way, shape, or form. But no, that's great feedback for sure. Um, so I guess there's we definitely have a lot of examples out there, and this is a the last question that we wanted to talk about, and it's the idea of like somebody who has influenced your barebow archery, and it can be a shooter, it can be a relative, it can be anybody really, but like if you had to pick a couple of a person or a couple of people or people who influence like the way that you are holding yourselves as barebow archers now, like who would you pick is really the question. Um, Anybody want to go first? Like somebody that's affected you in a positive way, that's helped you get to where you are now, or something along those lines?
Yeah, I reckon I have probably four people that have really in helped my journey. So to start with, it was a guy from the club, Nigel Dunning, local club. When I first started going, I was shooting a hunting bow, and he saw me shooting. He's like, "Dude, you got to pick up a bear bow." Anyway, long story short, he basically helped me start in bear bow. So he
Nice.
gave me information I needed to set up a bear bow, how to shoot it. I shot a lot with him, field archery, 50 meters. So that was super helpful getting into it, having someone that can show me and kind of mentor me into a different area of archery. And then after that, Tom Clum, who's my coach. So massive, massive change in my entire shot after I worked with him a couple of years ago. That probably the biggest help because without that information and mechanical transformation in terms of form, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. So that's super, super helpful. And then on a higher level of information and equipment stuff, Hugo Lobb has been awesome. I've spent a lot of time with him. So he's helped, whenever I've had tuning issues or whatever, or when it comes to mental management and sears and all stuff that high level bear bowers need to know. He's been super great with sharing that information. And then I think like we've talked a lot about confidence. Confidence is so important at the level we're at. And, I've been brought up in a home that has made me feel really confident. I'm a confident person because of the environment I've grown up in. And I think that's super beneficial to have a positive mindset, knowledge and confidence in your ability to do whatever you want to do. So that's definitely given me a springboard into archery, just in a general sense. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's probably four things and people that have really
sure.
helped me to get where I am now.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I like it. Who's next?
Um, I think of a couple. I know so I started in compound for my first, I don't know, 4 years of shooting. Um, and I always just did it with my dad. I originally started shooting to get into bow hunting.
Sure.
Um, and eventually I kind of wanted to get into the target side of things, like through 3D and everything. And I started shooting compound for like just like competitive stuff. I started going to Bodoc and doing like all the indoor and outdoor stuff, and I decided I hated compound and that it sucked. Um, and then I started shooting barebow, and I my coach, Jeff Sanchez,
Hmm.
he did a lot for me as far as just helping build my foundation and everything.
Sure.
Uh, he was probably one of the biggest helps. Also, my dad at the time was still shooting barebow, and he was definitely one of the better barebow shooters in our state at the time.
Uh-huh.
So having him to push me the same time as I was kind of getting into it definitely had a big impact on the fact that I was always able to kind of, whenever I needed, like get that pressure or that encouragement and be like, I can do this, I'd shoot against him and I'd be like, I beat him one end. One day I'll get you all 10. So
Yeah, good stuff. Jeff's a good guy. I've known Jeff for a long time. We have a mutual mentor coach in Larry Wise that, like, when I came up through the coaching ranks and took my level 3 with Larry and then took my level 4 and finished, all that stuff. Jeff's always been one of the top coaches in America, quite frankly. Compound specifically, but it just transferred quickly to Barebow as well as Barebow grew. So you definitely are, Luke. You're fortunate to be amongst such um, a healthy area of archery knowledge where you live and being near Bodoc. So there's definitely a benefit to that for sure. Um, Ludwig, how about yourself? Somebody that's been crucial for your success.
I think I've gotten like a lot of uh, different parts of my form and technique from a lot of different people all around Sweden, like Eric,
Sure.
Leo, and just people from all of Sweden, basically.
Yeah.
Just picking out what I think is logical to me, uh, testing it. If it works, I go with it. Um, but then I've built like the big part of my like mental uh, process or mental strategy around uh, Martin Ottoson's like uh, target panic model.
Okay.
So I try my best to uh, have a shooting, uh, what do you call it?
Like a mantra,
Uh, like a shot cycle that's
thought cycle. Okay.
or a like just a checklist
Yep.
that I built from Martin Ottoson's system to uh, like as much as possible try to control and prevent target panic. And I think that's been a huge help, like for the past 3 years, just keeping it in check and always knowing that like I'm always in control, um, even though I don't use shoot at trigger or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
So
good.
yeah,
I um I think that that's the same idea that just about anybody, even whether you shoot a trigger shot or not. I think there's still some that relatively carries over across the board, you
yeah,
know, and is making it like a concrete system, and whatever it is
yeah,
that you do, that's what you do, and you do it every time. It doesn't matter where the previous arrow went. It doesn't matter where you want the next arrow 10 or next end of arrows to go. You just need to focus on that one. I think what Larry Wise used to always say is like, he calls it present process thinking. You can only focus on what you have control of, and that's it.
yeah,
So you can't focus on the last arrows, whether good or bad, and you can't focus on the future or what you want to happen at the end. You need to only focus on what you're doing right in the moment. But no, that's excellent stuff. For sure. Oliver.
and then my shot
Oh,
process
hold on.
is also like built up to like be very target panic safe. So I don't have like I've tried to make it so my aiming is like I don't do any drive-by shooting or anything. Like I come into middle, I settle in, I put pressure. So it's like I've taken a lot of the information that Martin Hudson has like researched about
Yeah.
and implemented it into my shot process, which is like a big part of it, I think.
Yeah. No, that's great stuff. I think does Martin have like a book or something maybe,
I don't know
or is it?
if he has a book, but he has like uh, a video on YouTube in Swedish.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Not the goal, isn't it?
um, but
Well, I'll have
maybe
to
you'll have to ask him to
yeah,
do a
make an American,
podcast.
make a new one maybe I can get closed captioning in English. I don't know. Have to check it out. Um, all right, good. No, that's good. If you get a chance, send me the link to that. I'll see if I can see if I'm able to do that and watch
For
it.
sure.
Um, Oliver, give us the details, my friend.
So I think there's sort of like a few almost like different groups of people which have helped me. Like I think the person which first made me want to get good at archery was Leo, because um, back in, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, right as we were coming out of the lockdown, I shot a double WA50 under 18 record. It wasn't a great score, it was like 1,006. And Leo then beat it the next day. So I didn't really get anything for that record. So it really made me sort of want to get it back. And then that sort of like pushed me to like keep going and improve. And then um, another group was sort of like the people I'm shooting around. Like I try and sort of build like a group of people which sort of almost like keep me accountable and like um make sure that I'm like doing it. They make sure I'm doing it properly rather than just like it's so easy to turn up to a training session and just shoot arrows for the sake of it rather than actually shooting them with purpose, and purpose being to improve. So there was Colin at my first club. We'd shoot together loads, sort of evenings. This was a lot of the time it's all outside, so middle of winter. We're shooting outside in like negative temperatures, so like freezing,
Oh, geez.
and it was tough, but it sort of almost like taught me like the discipline and sort of just like um made me want to improve the drive. And then there's sort of another group which like taught me a lot about archery, like um, Jamie, who was at my first club and has shot for GB on the field team before as recurve, but he taught me how to tune a bow. Like at this point, I didn't know how. I was shooting 1300 spine arrows off of like 25 pounds, so they were horrendously weak. But he taught me how to tune a bow properly and like get it set up, which was really useful. And then James now, who's a constant member on the GB field team at the moment, and we shoot together at like loads of the GB field competitions, just for local ones. Like I we'd almost like go to a competition and then be like, oh, who am I in a group with? And it'd be James. And that was really useful to sort of like, he'd been doing field for a lot longer than me, just to like pick up little bits of information. And then sometimes at the end of the day, we'd almost like end up nerding out about like the course, just like sort of trying to pick up different details from each other to try and both improve to get better. And then the final person which has influenced me hugely recently is Jed Cullen, who's he shoots trad, but he really helping me get the SEER system set up, which I've started shooting for a year now.
Mhm.
And I know steers are a bit of a controversial thing in the barebow community at the moment. Some people seem to like them, and some people absolutely seem to hate them. But I found it's really helped sort of bring enjoyment back because when I was starting to struggle a bit more, it was getting really hard, and then just knowing that I've got it under control, I can shoot properly. It's just given me enjoyment back in the sport, which I think is the most important thing.
Sure, absolutely. There was that is the most important thing for anybody who wants to argue for or against is that if you as an individual have fun doing what you're doing and you're being successful with it, that's all that matters. So don't ever, well, let anybody tell you you're less of an archer because you do one way or the other. Um, there's people who
It
are,
makes me so mad when people say, "Oh, using your C is cheating." I'm like, "Well, if it was cheating, you would be doing it as well."
yeah, no, well,
Because it's a
it's
legal way
not
to
cheating in any
shoot.
way, shape, or
It's not.
form.
It takes just as much mental
Yeah.
control to shoot a seer as triggerless, but some people are able to control it better, putting that mental control towards a seer than
Yeah.
shooting a triggerless shot.
Yeah,
There's no
there's pros and
cheating
cons for
about it,
both.
but
There's pros and cons for
definitely.
both. It depends on how you are wired as an
Yeah.
individual and what
Mhm.
and honestly and in some ways what level of work you're willing to do. There's no question that shooting without a seer is harder. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it either. It just depends on where you're at as an individual and what motivates you to shoot. And that's okay. That as long as you're shooting, I don't like me personally, like I don't give a shit what you do. Have fun. Go have fun.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah,
enjoy the challenge of not shooting a seer, that's awesome. If you want to shoot a seer because it makes you more confident of a shooter, then so be it. Whatever works. And then if anybody ever says anything different, they can go pound sand. It is what it is. I feel like there's there's camps that have been um developed and it's only because of social media. It's not because of reality. So it really doesn't matter. And the other thing that you can always, or in my opinion, the other thing that you could always say is results don't lie. So Ludwig shoots one way and his results don't lie. And Oliver shoots one way and his results don't lie. And the same for Luke and for Judah. So, and the same for anybody else. So that's all that matters. And I'll tell you one thing, the one thing that I've watched with the four of you, because I've kind of been able to watch, I mean, Ludwig really to me only came, you're probably the most recent one because I've known of or been friends with through social media or through tournaments like the other three. But I've seen you guys just even in a short amount of time that I've known you like mature as young men and mature into this sport. And I think it's cool to see that you are all taking steps to kind of respectively grow your barebow world in your own way. And I think that's the most out of every all of your accomplishments even maybe bigger than like winning the Lancaster Classic, except for the check, of course, that comes with it. Um, that's the more important thing. And you guys, whatever you do, and this is probably one thing that I think that I have to give credit to Demmer for, leave the sport better than it was when you got here, you know? And I think you guys are doing an excellent job of that. So that's
That's the
that's
goal.
yes, and
yeah.
and I think it's worth taking the time to acknowledge that. So proud of all of you. I love watching you develop. I love watching your stories and your social media and your success. And I wish you all nothing but the best as we move forward. So with that being said, and as we're closing in, we're over an hour now. Where can people follow you? Because they're going to want to do that what channels, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, however, let's just kind of go around the horn and tell where people can follow you on social media. So Ludwig, why don't you give it a go first?
Well, I'm on both Facebook and Instagram, and I believe I'm just Ludwig Roland
Okay. Good.
as my name.
Perfect.
Simple and easy.
Perfect. Luke, I know you're on Facebook. I don't know. Are you on Instagram too?
Yeah, I will say I honestly am a lot more on Instagram than I am Facebook.
Okay.
I do think my Instagram's a little different. I think it's like Luke Thorne Archery or something like that. I don't remember it off the top of my head,
I'll look
but
it up.
it is basically just my name.
Yes, it's Luke. It's Luke Thorne underscore archery is what it is.
There you
Got it.
go.
Yep. Found it. Found it.
Yeah.
Judah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Judah Holmes on Facebook and then Judah underscore archery on Instagram. And I post frequently on both of them. So yeah.
Yeah, he's yeah, Judah underscore archery. He's addicted to social media, but we won't hold that against him. Ollie, how about yourself?
I'm Ollie Hicks Archery for both Instagram and Facebook.
Gotcha.
So,
Sounds about right.
yeah.
At least you kept yours like the same on both platforms. So I appreciate that. It's easier for me to find you. Well, listen, guys. First of all, thank you for taking the time. You guys are all literally all over the world, which I think kind of one of the coolest things about this episode. You are amazing young men. I am proud to call you my friend, and I am proud of all of your accomplishments thus far, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. All right. So you guys have a good one. Everybody who's tuned into the Barebow Project, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for support. Make sure you like and share. One second,
Thank you.
guys. Hold on. I'm gonna
Thank